out into the world. So let's get started on our topics. I want to start off with Make It Make Sense. So the first topic for Make It Make Sense is Taraji P. Henson and Monique. A lot of people are asking, how come Taraji P. Henson and Monique were received differently when they had the same claims? They were claiming that they weren't getting equal pay when compared to their counterparts in the Hollywood industry, that they were treated differently for being women of color, even though they're leading in their fields. And people were sort of confused as to why these two individuals were being treated differently. Well, Monique wasn't received well by the public, and then Taraji P. Henson was received well. And I want to highlight the fact that both of them had different approaches to addressing the same issue or similar issue. And I want to highlight those. So number one, Taraji P. Henson presented herself as feminine. She presented herself as soft and like really needing an emotional support system. Monique presented herself as masculine and dominant. She was very bold and daring in her response and how she addressed these injustices. What I will say is neither are wrong, because I feel if you do harm to me, you do not have the right to tell me how to react. They both reacted well in their right. It just so happened that one person was received better and the other wasn't. And I'm going to tell you why I think that was. I think Taraji P. Henson was received better because it seemed more genuine to the public. It seemed like she was really hurt and she was crying, and you could see her sisters coming around her and like reassuring her, like, we got your back, right? A group of Black women on stage with her while she's promoting The Color Purple. Really, you could tell that there was love and support in the room, but it is still a group of Black women all showing feminine energy and being very soft. On the other hand, Monique came in swinging. Monique came in and called everybody out, was very bold, and she had a Black man that stood beside her the whole time. And I think the world isn't necessarily used to a Black man having his Black woman's wife. I think the world isn't necessarily used to a Black man having his wife's back in that capacity so publicly and so unapologetically. And what I think happened here is that oftentimes us as people, we are so quick to put on our cape and go and save someone who we feel like, oh my God, poor baby, you need our support. And I'm not saying that's what Taraji wanted to present. I feel like she had genuine emotions, genuine reactions, but we perceived it as more feminine, more soft. And so the society, we like reeled in to help Taraji. Whereas Monique, because she was so bold and so daring and then had someone who we felt like had her back no matter what, I think we really did Monique wrong. And I'm saying although I agreed with Monique the whole time and I supported her, I think that as she was being attacked, that us as a whole could have done better supporting her. Even if we didn't like the way she said it, she was still speaking her truth. So that's why I say there was a difference in the way it was received. But also, you have to also understand how America usually reacts to the angry Black woman. They dismiss our emotions if like we're presenting to them as an angry Black woman. So Monique came in and was just like, listen, here's what's going on, da, 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 da. And people are like, whoa. And she might have come off as an angry Black woman. And America is so used to disregarding the experiences that Black women are having in whatever sector, because it's like, well, you could have said it nicer. Who are you to tell me I could have said it nicer? Why did you do that in the first place? So that's where I think things happen. I also feel like Taraji was received differently because it seemed more genuine. And I'm going to tell you why it seemed more genuine. It seemed more genuine because when Taraji was announcing that she was not getting equal pay, she did not feel valued or respected or appreciated, she wasn't in the middle of negotiating a contract. It seems like these are things that have been happening for the longest, and she is now talking about it after she's already closed her contracts. And it's not like she's asking us, go and talk to this specific company and tell them to pay me my worth. It literally was, listen, y'all, I almost did not even do this movie because they would not pay me my worth. The production team did this and this and this, and then this and this and that. And this is why I'm talking about it now. It's like the deal was done. She's done. She advocated for herself, and she's now telling us after the fact and hoping that moving forward, it'll be better. Whereas with Monique, it seemed like she still wanted the deal with Netflix, but she wanted to use the court. She wanted to use like the court of public opinion in her favor by telling us what she's going through, and still also telling us boycott Netflix and tell them to pay me my worth for my special. So we were trying to figure out whether, like, do you want us to boycott Netflix, or do you want us to pressure them to pay you your worth because you're well within your right? You did deserve more money. Absolutely. You're amazing. You're a legend. So I think it felt a little bit confusing. We didn't know what she wanted, and it seems as though the sole goal was to get whatever money she needed. And like in the midst, I'm going to also address a problem. You know, like I think the public perceived it as Taraji being more genuine in her approach. And I could understand where people are coming from. So that's one part of it. Also, Taraji didn't call a specific entity or person out. She has been addressing actions. She's been talking about actions. They did this. They did that, right? Whereas Monique, she addressed actions and the actors. And it just so happened that the actors were people who are really loved in the Black community for what they stand for, like Oprah and Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels. They were seen as like people who really worked their way up and made some generational wealth for themselves. And I think the people who should have supported Monique, like us, Black people especially, we like had a hard time letting go of people who we thought of as good figures, and realizing that they did our sister wrong, like they did our auntie wrong. So I think those are my thoughts on why Taraji and Monique were perceived differently. I also think it's funny that Cat Williams did the same thing Monique did, but he's being praised. Cat Williams literally did the same thing. A bunch of people in his industry that are Black people who we look up to and value were doing things to him that he did not appreciate. And he came out and called every single one of them out. He called out their names and he called out their actions. Monique did the same thing. She came out and called out 3 people who she felt like were being against her and doing things that she did not appreciate. And when she called them out, we were almost like hesitant to even like, okay, how do we address this now? But the same thing that Cat Williams is being praised for, Monique was literally left out to hang. And I think that's a reflection we need to have as a society of like, hey, the next time our sister or our auntie is calling people out, even if you don't feel like it's genuine, but you know that there's some substance there to what she's saying, we should support her better. Like, I absolutely thought that what Monique said was true. Like, I didn't question it. I think it was the way it came out of like, you need to boycott Netflix and tell them to still give me my contract, where we were like, what? Okay. And I feel like we didn't do Monique justice. And I think now is our opportunity to correct the past. And at least we need to stand by Taraji, because one thing about it, both of those sisters are talented, amazing, living legends that need to be praised. They are doing an amazing job. And it's people like them that keeps our culture visible, keeps our young women inspired, and they need all of our support. So those are my breakdowns on why they were received differently. I also think that it came down to a matter of people. It seemed like people in the industry didn't really like Monique like that. Or that's what was being portrayed after she came out. Because even when she went on the Breakfast Club and Angela Yee was like, well, someone who was working with you told me that you weren't nice. And she was like, say the name or leave it on the playground. It seems like conversations were already stirring in the background, and people have a more support and liking towards Taraji. That's what it seems like. So those are my thoughts on what happened between Taraji and Monique, and how they were received. So let's get into state of the world. I want to talk about immigration. Let's talk about immigration. So as you all know, there have been so many people who have, sorry, I'm just setting up the